To get the most from this lesson, it would be best if you had tried out the Introduction to Tonal Sketching with Black and White Chalk video, as this was a bit more abstract and experimental. However, if this is not possible, with extra care and attention, this can be used as a standalone lesson. The subject matter I am using for this lesson is taken from photographs I have taken of Scottish landscape. This lesson can be done using any subject matter and does not need to be done from photographs. The same principles can be applied to still life or portraiture. If you do not have your own subject matter at this point, you can use these images as a start. These lessons follow on from my previous video where we experimented with black and white chalk on 3 different tones of paper. Experimenting is an important part of any art and design process. In this lesson we will use black chalk on white paper, white chalk on black paper, and then black and white chalk on mid-tone paper, as can be seen in these examples. I have chosen a landscape photograph which has a lot of dark tone. In my first drawing I will concentrate on drawing only the dark and mid-tone areas. From the last lesson we should remember that we can create a variation in tone by varying how heavily we lean on the chalk. Using the side of the chalk we will draw in the large tonal areas in bold strokes. Lean heavily on the chalk in the darkest areas and lighter for the mid-tone areas. If there are too many spaces that don't have dark or mid-tones, you can use your imagination to add tone to improve your drawing. Remember, artists and designers don't copy photographs, they are inspired by them. You can change and modify your shapes and tones to make a better drawing. In the second drawing, we can either work from the same photograph or change to another. It is often a good idea to look at the same photograph in a different way. This time we will use only white on the black paper. We are looking to draw the light areas only. This means lightest areas plus the mid-tones. To make an interesting composition, you might need to consider making some of the darker areas lighter. Remember, artists and designers are allowed to use their imagination to improve the final outcomes. This is an important part of this process. Look carefully at your photo and using the side of your chalk, fill in all of the light and mid-tone areas, varying how heavily you lean on the chalk. The heavier you lean, the lighter the tone becomes. The lighter you lean, the more you allow the black paper to show through. This makes the tone darker. Continue until you are happy with your result. In the final part of the process, we will use black and white chalk on a mid-tone paper. At this stage, it is important that we do not mix the black and white together. This will happen in future lessons. Remember, changing how you lean on the chalks will change the tones on the paper. You can use the same photograph, as by this time you will know the shapes and compositions well. Start by filling in the lightest tones and select the lightest mid-tones and fill them in with the white chalk. Now look for the darkest areas and the darkest mid-tones and fill them in with your black chalk. You can now review the drawing and add in areas of black and white to improve your drawing. Remember, at this stage, no mixing of the tones. Just use different pressures. Continue until you are satisfied with the result. You can of course try out different variations and use different photographs to get different results. The use of tone is an important part of any expressive process. It can also be used to create very interesting final outcomes, as can be seen here in the work of Pablo Picasso, George Braque and Pierre Mondrian. We hope you enjoyed this lesson. You can share your projects with us on Twitter by tagging Glasgow Create.